Hello and welcome back to 78 Reflections. I'm Patty Elaine and I'm so glad you're here. Today we are continuing on the Decan stroll, and this time through Pisces. And as I'm recording this, we're up just at the end of the first Decan. And quick note before we dive in, I always love to give a disclaimer because I am not an astrologer by any stretch of the imagination, and in fact, I've just been learning a little bit about astrology, dipping my toe in, if you will, as I've been exploring the Decans, and my main lens is the tarot. So I thought I would bring you along for the stroll. I like to call it a Decan stroll instead of a Decan walk, because it just takes some of the pressure off. And if you don't know what a Decan walk or a Decan stroll is, I will link my introduction video in the description box. But let's just jump right in. So for my Decan stroll, I have been working with a 3-card tarot spread inspired by the Temperance card. And you can see that here. And here you can see on either side, you can see the 2 cups. And the way I look at it is we have 1 cup is the energy from the astrological sign. The other cup is going to be the energy from the planetary influence for that particular Decan. And then in the middle, this alchemy is the Decan card, the minor arcana card representing the Decan. And so that is the lens that we're going to explore it together. And at the end of each Decan, I pull the Cantagee oracle card that aligns approximately with that Decan. It's kind of tough because the Cantagee, there's 52 cards, 1 for each week, and the Decans are 10 days each. But I just look through the Cantagee cards and I choose the ones for that period that align most with the Decans, in my opinion. I also wanted to tell you, I was so excited. I wasn't sure if I was going to record this video today or not, but I took this as a sign. Now, before I say, I am on a low buy, but not a no buy. And when I saw this deck, I couldn't say no. I love the Earth Woman Tarot, and I was really excited when I saw this deck. I just clicked on add to cart, buy now. So that is the deck you're going to see. These ones. And I used to work with this one, Starcode's Astro Oracle, which Marlene and Teresa introduced me to. I do like it, but listen, I love these ones. So let's just jump right in, okay? Starting with Pisces. Look at this beautiful imagery. If you want to see, so the other deck, I can't remember what this one is called, but I'll put it in the description box. So that is another deck that I've been using for the Decan stroll. And then let's see what it looks like in the star codes. Pisces. So you can see why I like this one a bit more than that one, but anyway. So let's talk a little bit about Pisces. So Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac, the 12th house, which is all about introspection, inner worlds, and the parts of ourselves that exist when no one is watching. Pisces asks us to tune into our dreams, our intuition, and the emotional currents around us. It's a mutable water sign, and thus sensitive, sometimes dreamy, and capable of profound empathy. Pisces' sensitive soul may sometimes mean that we can feel overwhelmed, and it's important to remember to stay grounded. I look at Pisces as an invitation to lean into our sympathetic and kind-hearted side, feel everything, and also romanticize our life, embrace dreamy, spiritual nature of things. Now, the major arcana card representing Pisces is the moon. And the moon represents liminal space, and speaks to perception, cycles, mystery, and also the hidden parts of ourselves. The moon invites us to observe our shadows, noticing repeating cycles in our life, and frankly, honoring our emotional landscape. So what we're going to do is we're going to explore each of the decans. So Pisces will stay here. And then in the middle, we're going to see the minor arcana card for the decan. And over here, we'll see the planetary influence. So the first decan is February 18th to 28th. So we're just at the end of this as I'm recording this on March 1st. So we have Pisces as our astrological energy. And then we have Saturn for our planetary influence. Now Saturn, in some places, is referred to as the taskmaster. Wisdom gained by Saturn is through lived experience. And Saturn brings necessary structure to our world. The rings around Saturn represent boundary setting. Saturn's interest is in helping us stay on track to live our soul's purpose. And Saturn in the major arcana is represented by the World card. The World signals completion of a cycle and also start of a new one. And when we bring Pisces over here, the moon and Saturn and the world together, we see a tension because the moon distorts perception and the world clarifies reality. So what's the alchemy? Well, the Decan card for the first decan of Pisces, also known as Pisces apparently, is the Eight of Cups. And this card is referred to as the Lord of Abandoned Success. And it's about realizing that some emotional patterns or situations are no longer serving us. We feel the pull to leave what's familiar and step into the unknown. And recognizing that we're leaving something behind. It's the emotional clarity after confusion. It may feel painful, but it's generally clean. Because once something is clearly seen, it cannot be unseen. And with Saturn's boundaries, there's no turning back. So the Cantagee Oracle card that I pulled for this decan is the Voice of the Moon. The voice of the moon reminds us that even in darkness, guidance is available. And as we navigate uncertainty, there's a quiet illumination, a sense of being seen and supported. It comforts us as it illuminates our path and lets us move forward with our hearts at ease. I have deeply felt this energy over the last 10 days. The sensitivity and deep feelings of Pisces have brought grief over endings and forcing me to feel grief that I would prefer to push away. And I think that, Saturn's boundaries, the World card, recognizing completion, recognizing when it's time to let things go. And that's this Decan card here. And so the moon and the world have created space for me for emotional clarity and a clear recognition and acceptance of life cycles. It's been, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a wild ride. So now today, March 1st, we're going into Decan 2, and this is now Jupiter in Pisces. So we keep Pisces on this side of our temperance spread. I'm going to leave this here. Should I? No, I'll take it away. And replacing Saturn and the world we have Jupiter. Let me show you the one from the Star Codes Astro. And also this one. Look at all that orange. Jupiter. Jupiter is said to be the queen of all goddesses. Her lightning bolt is a symbol of her command and power. Her expansiveness inspires growth, prosperity, and happiness. And when Jupiter meets Pisces, the moon, she is not afraid to confront its illusions. And so Jupiter is represented by the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, it's card 10. And it is all about expansion, abundance, cyclical turning points. Whenever I see the wheel card, I always think, you know, life is moving, whether you like it or not. So get on board. And so the alchemy of the moon and the Wheel of Fortune is the Decan card for the second Decan in Pisces, which is the Nine of Cups, the Lord of Material Happiness. What I get here is that we have emotional truth and cycles that lead to contentment through alignment and surrender. So the moon's cycles and the wheel's rhythm remind us that life has highs and lows, and emotional depth combined with expansiveness and abundance brings this contentment that we see in the Nine of Cups. Now, I will admit, when I look at the Nine of Cups, I don't love this depiction of the Nine of Cups, even though it's the traditional imagery. Because what I see is smugness. And what's interesting for me with the nines, so the 9 is the one step before the 10, before the completion. And so I always think it's a checkpoint. And with the cups, I always ask myself, when I experience abundance, how do I show up in the world? Do I show up as content with gratitude, or do I show up as smug and I'm trying to think of the word. Smug and entitled. Entitled is the word that was escaping me. Do I come across as someone who feels that they are more worthy of abundance than someone else? Because that is certainly not how I want to show up in the world. So let's look at the Cantagee Oracle. And this one is interesting. It is the infinite web. The infinite web reminds us that we're all connected. Each strand of experience, each encounter contributes to a larger tapestry. And realizing our part in this web helps us feel belonging and expansion, held in something much larger than ourselves. As I look forward to the next 10 days, what occurs to me is I want to be mindful of this turning of the wheel. I was reflecting back to last year at this exact same time, and I was we're going into spring now, and the pace during winter is slower, more contemplative, more introspective. But now we're going into, for me anyway, something where life speeds up very quickly. And last year, I wasn't having it. And so what I experienced was resistance to the wheel turning and the pace of life. And so how that showed up for me was quite the opposite of the Nine of Pentacles. In fact, it was scarcity and dread. And so this year, I'm really being mindful of, listen, the wheel is turning, girl. You just gotta get on it. And rather than resisting it, trying to be alignment with the flow. And I'm hoping that that brings this feeling of contentment and abundance. We'll see. Stay tuned. I'll report back. So now we go into the third decan, which is March 11th to the 20th, and it is Mars and Pisces. So replacing these cards, we keep our Pisces, we keep our astrological energy of Pisces and the moon, but now we have Mars. So look at Mars. Oof. Not gonna lie, so see, there we have motion. Okay, Mars, thank you for that. And so there we have this beautiful Mars card. And Mars burns with masculine energy. Her energy in the light is not used for attacking, but rather for protecting and defending. So she stands up for what she believes in with strength and determination. And the major arcana card representing Mars is the Tower card. Not my favorite card. But the Tower energy is disruption, shaking up old patterns. And so the Tower reminds us to face challenges. And in that might lead to sudden realizations. Notice the lightning bolt here and the breakdown of false structures. So the alchemy, when we bring these together, the sensitive, intuitive, dreamy nature of Pisces and the moon, and then this motion of Mars, the alchemy might surprise you. It definitely surprised me. It's the Ten of Cups, the Lord of perfected success. It took me quite a while to wrap my mind around this, because we have Mars, which provides propulsion, and Pisces provides emotional depth, intuition. So together, they create emotional clarity that comes after letting illusions shatter. Notice the rainbow in the Ten of Cups. Typically, we see rainbows after a storm. So what this decan is teaching me is that disruption can be a catalyst for spiritual and emotional clarity, and even, dare I say, joy. The Cantagee Oracle card for this decan, your delight charms the world. This card shows how joy emerges after effort, surrender, and integration. We move from frustration or uncertainty into a space of embodied happiness. This isn't the fairy tale type of joy. It's joy that is lived and radiated, not in spite of life's turmoil and disruptions, but because of life's disruptions. So with all that being said, I feel like we're going to have a wild ride through the Pisces season. Let's close with some reflections and some questions that we can take with us as we move forward from where we're at today. So let's, you guys, I'm having some chaotic energy today. I got cards all over the place. Let's see if I can pull it together for a wrap up. So Decan 1, we had Pisces, the moon, with Jupiter and the world. The alchemy of these two is the Eight of Cups. I thought it was interesting, the Tarot of the Spirit, the key word is still waters. I thought that was interesting in the context of this spread. And the question that I have for myself, and might be helpful for you, reflecting back on this energy, is we have this end of a cycle, beginning of a new cycle, and confronting illusion. So what happens when illusion ripens? And are we getting this emotional clarity and leaving behind what no longer serves us? Still waters. And of course, let's not forget the voice of the moon. So in the second decan, we have entering stage right, we have Saturn in all her glory with the wheel. And what happens when illusion flows with the cycles of life? Does it lead us to interconnection and fullness? Or are we resisting this so we're experiencing what I experienced last year, which was scarcity and, I would say, dread, maybe, and the infinite web. And then we have our last decan, our friend Mars, and the Tower card. So what happens when illusion finally shatters? What a surprise. Emotional clarity. Oh, I didn't tell you for the 9, this card was Rainbow Mirror, which I thought was fun. But the 10 of Water is Fountain of Love, which I love that for this energy. And your energy or your delight charms the world. So even though Pisces is dreamy and mutable, there's a beautiful progression here. Hearing the truth, feeling held, and finally living the joy that comes from integration. Maybe the real medicine of Pisces isn't clarity that we force, but clarity that finds us when we're willing to let go. Thanks for walking through Pisces with me. Buckle up. I think we're gearing up for a ride. I hope this helps you. It helped me connect with the energy of the season and see my own inner currents a little more clearly. And I look forward to checking in with you in the next decan. So until then, may the cards bring us truth bombs when we need them and gentleness when we don't. Please like this video if you do. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.